Kaya. Wanju.
I moved to Perth with my family in 2006 and I had my third baby here on Noongar in King Eddie's Hospital in the season of Djilba. I didn't know that at the time. I was shamefully ignorant about Noongar customs, language and the history of the Noongar people here in WA. I've been very lucky to have my ignorance remedied by some kind and wise women who have helped me to learn about the language and history of the Noongar people here in Perth. As I reflect on the 6 Noongar seasons and the importance of incubation as part of the cycle of life, I think it's a good metaphor for the calmness and strength that a woman needs to incubate a pregnancy successfully is the same as the calmness and acceptance that we need in our approach to learning from Aboriginal wisdom. It can be easy to lose a sense of calm when you feel frustrated or ignorant or vulnerable. And the most important thing to keeping that centered sensation is an acceptance of the learning journey that we're all on and an understanding that wherever you are on that journey and whatever your own inner feeling about your ignorance is, if you come with an open heart, the calmness that you bring to the situation will be repaid with learning and understanding.
I'm Jenny. I'm one of the counsellors at Sexual Assault Resource Centre, King Edward's Hospital, and my job here is to work with people who've experienced sexual violence. In terms of the way I think about adulthood, it's about, I think, taking a level of personal responsibility and tapping into that personal agency about actually letting society know about inequities, about disadvantage. And if you think about that, particularly in an Aboriginal context, is rather than just actually having the words, is actually being proactive about that, being able to speak our truth, being able to tell our personal stories, being able to have the safety to share. And quite often I think that safety in our society, if you think about the institutional, structural issues around racism, disadvantage, inequity, that makes it a real double bind in terms of addressing the disadvantage that exists in our world. So stepping up as adults and taking that responsibility is hard, but if we're to achieve any level of change, then we need to step into territory that is difficult, that is challenging, which is personally confronting, so that we can bring about that change together. Recognising that standing up and challenging issues can be risky, and so have we got something that we can fall back on for ourselves in terms of actually care and support, love and connection. So I think those things are really important. Change is often difficult. Change doesn't come about easily because it actually means being proactive, stepping into unknown territory, often with big risks. And so I think being able, as best you can, to optimise support, to optimise your connection to your communities, to your families, to your friends, is probably the best advice I can give around that.
Kaya, I'm Graham Bordley, Director of Midwifery Nursing and Patient Support Services for the Women and Newborn Health Service, based here at King Edward Hospital. It's really important that as we celebrate NAIDOC Week, that we stand up and make sure that we remember the history of how NAIDOC came to be. That we reflect on the history of NAIDOC, which celebrated National Aborigines Day, and as that evolved to be inclusive of Islander peoples, we now celebrate NAIDOC in July and throughout the full week, so that we recognise the development of those important peoples as part of our culture. Along this journey, we need to make sure that we grow our workforce, including employing more Aboriginal people, so that we can continue to engage with them to ensure equity in our health services and growth and development throughout the lifespan. I think it's important as well that we remember our own growth and development, and I had the wonderful experience of going to primary school with a lot of Aboriginal children, and I learnt from them and their experiences throughout life, and that has helped to shape me as a leader within health, because I've remembered those important lessons of how they had some disadvantage in their lives and that in many ways I could see as I got older that I had privilege, and I've not allowed that privilege to affect the way that I provide services and interact. And then when I'm not sure, I seek out appropriate cultural advice from elders around us, and we need to learn from those elders. And to quote the current information that's being spoken of in Gerin, it's really important that we speak to those who know so that we can be informed along that path.
My name's Gareth. I'm the head of the WA Register of Developmental Anomalies. So that's a service for children with differences present at birth and with cerebral palsy. And really our job is to collect the information and generate the new understandings to help them live the best lives possible. So if I think about a couple of the projects that we work with, Life Languages and Pilbara Faces, we stand up by supporting the youth. We help them stand up and support the youth to be the architects of change and generate their own solutions. We support them to work together with their family members and their elders to be able to transmit knowledge across generations, to share stories, to share culture, and to develop new capabilities to train them better, to give them new skills that they can then go on and teach others. I think the single most important starting point is the community. And so I think everything begins with a conversation with the community. And what is the community's needs? What are the solutions that they see? What are the ways forward that they will guide us on? And to really go on a journey that's navigated by the community voice. So I think it's about listening.
Hello, my name's Shari Pilkington. I'm a Yamatji woman, born in Geraldton. I'm a midwife here at King Edward, working on the postnatal antenatal wards. Standing up and saying I'm proud, I'm Aboriginal, saying where I'm from. And especially as a midwife, I get to meet people at a special place in their time in their life where they're coming in and they're having their baby and celebrating birth. And I think it's really important to have Aboriginal midwives on the floor looking after Aboriginal women here at King Edward, especially when it's around birth. It's women's business, and we talk about not just actually having birth, but being a mum, what that means being a mum, and as a midwife, and then it is really special. But being an Aboriginal midwife, I just think it adds a little bit more, making them feel proud of, what they can do. I suppose with my colleagues here who are non-Aboriginal, I talk to them about maybe for a certain woman that she needs her family involved. And if they're wondering, oh, why is that? What's so different? I just explain to them about how important it is to have good supports around, and it's not just that one woman bringing up that child or that baby. It's her whole family that have part of that. So the work that I do here as a midwife, and especially as an Aboriginal midwife, is it's 24-hour care here. So we're handing over what we might have experienced with that woman on shift, and then once we come to the end of our shift and we want to hand over something to the next midwife, so that they are culturally aware and sensitive to this woman and what her needs are and her family, I'm able to offer some sort of insight into what her needs are, which I think is really helpful for the staff coming on, especially non-Aboriginal staff members who are maybe not aware of what their cultural needs are.
I'm Trish Woods. I'm a consultant neonatologist and I work in the neonatal intensive care unit. Having a baby in the neonatal intensive care unit is a frightening and confronting and highly emotional time for any family. Taking a moment to consider what an Indigenous family far away from home, far away from their own sources of support, their community, their country, and everything that is important and sacred to them at one of the most challenging times of their lives. And facing this without those resources, and particularly in the last few years with the challenges that COVID has thrown us all, has been particularly difficult to observe. Intensive care is intensive, it's fast paced, but you have to just take a moment and stop and think of the family in front of you. Think about how you listen better, how you can really focus on hearing well and seeing the opportunities in front of you, where there may be gaps, where there may be areas that you use your skills and you bring yourself to their care. As the team of NICU that we are, our clinical nurses, our clinical nursing consultants and our social work team, we just work so closely together, and every week we have a dedicated space where we come together purely to think of ways we can support families. And for NADOT Week, this is going to be something really special where we have a chance as individual clinicians to stand up and think about, as this multidisciplinary team that we have, how we can play together and think of innovative ways that we can truly support families and the resources that they might need from us all.
Get up.
Stand up.
And show up.